Baylor is beating Oklahoma 41-12 right now. Quarterback Bryce Petty talking to the media after the win.
A smile on his face and wants to get better, so it was of no surprise, no lack of trust or anything. I mean, I knew he could do it, so very happy for him. He deserves it.
In the second quarter, Tevin's out, and you're looking for Levi on a couple of slants for some big plays that got things going. How big was that? And again, like you're saying, there's another guy that people forget about.
Yeah, I hate that for Tevin. That kind of hit me a little hard just because, I mean, it's his senior year. We wanted big things. I know he did. I did for him, and so that hurts. I don't exactly know the extent of the injury, but, anytime you miss a senior leader.
Of course, Bryce Petty talking about the injury to wide receiver Tevin Reese, who went out in the game with a wrist injury. We don't know the status of that injury as of yet. But, of course, there is much celebration going on as Oklahoma over the past years has dominated Baylor. 21 wins, 1 loss. In fact, that last win coming in Norman last season on November 10th. Now, since that date, the Bears haven't lost a game. So, 11-game winning streak coming into the top 10 contest. And fans all in black. The blackout in that south end zone, which was occupied by the tarp, full of fans. 50,537 was the 4th largest in Floyd Casey Stadium history. The first quarter, Bryce Petty finds Clay Fuller that would set up a field goal, so it's 3-0. The BU defense getting a shine on national television. 4th down stop for the Sooners there, but on the ensuing possession, Petty sacked in the end zone by Dominique Alexander. Sooners just down 3-2. They would tack on a field goal, and yeah, that's what we expected. A 5-3 game in the second quarter, but finally we get some offense. Petty on the keeper, 5-yard score. Baylor back on top, 10-5. The O picking it up. Petty connecting with Levi Norwood, who had a touchdown in this one. Here he's ruled just short of the end zone. Petty would clean it up. Baylor up 17-5 right before the end of the half. Petty going to the air, had 3 touchdowns. One of those to Antoine Goodley. Great catch. 24-yard score. 24-5 Baylor at recess, and they run away in the second half and beat Baylor for just the second time ever, 41-12. Baylor moves to 8-0 on the year. It's the first time they've had that record in school history, and they've jumped right into the national championship conversation. But as Bryce Petty alluded to, it did come to a cost. And we join Sean Giggy now live, who has more on the injury-depleted Bears. Sean.
Yeah, Ricardo, as you said, historical win for Baylor. That's the good news. 8-0 for the first time in school history. Very big win for them tonight. But, of course, the bad news.
Thank you very much, Sean. Baylor now in that conversation with Oregon down to Stanford. They can move up in those BCS standings. We'll see what happens here in the coming weeks as they've got 4 more games to see what they can do and make some noise and maybe possibly play for a national championship. Now, while that game is going on, meanwhile in the NFL, we did have a little Baylor versus Oklahoma. RG3's Washington Redskins against Adrian Peterson's Minnesota Vikings. Right now in the 4th quarter, it's late. Redskins with the ball driving. They're trailing the Vikings 34-27. RG3 with 3 touchdown passes in this one. AP with 2 rushing scores. We'll see if the Redskins can win back-to-back games for the first time this year, but right now they're in the 4th quarter. And if we have Art Briles that comes up onto the podium, we'll certainly try to bring that to you before the end of the newscast. We'll be right back after this. Plenty of memories made at Floyd Casey Stadium, and Baylor will try to make one more memory with the win over Texas and secure that Big 12 championship. Hi, we're live from the Case. Ricardo LeCompte here with Sean Giggy and Dan Ingham as we get you ready for kickoff at 2:30 between the Longhorns and the Bears. And, of course, right now you're all watching that Memories Were Made Here documentary. Sean Giggy was very instrumental in putting that together. Sean, I know through the long months of getting all the research together and putting that together, what was the most enjoyable experience you had when you were putting that special together?
Well, number one, just meeting all these people and hearing their memories. Just so great to hear about growing up with this stadium, playing some of the first people to play in it. And, it's kind of like it is now. Baylor feels like they're upgrading, moving to a new stadium. Back then, when this was built, 2nd biggest stadium in the state of Texas, and they just felt like this was a majestic place. And so it should be a good way to send it out in style here. And nonetheless, against Texas, a good old rival today.
It is almost perfect, almost apropos that you're ending with your rival Texas to close out Floyd Casey Stadium. Dan, you've been here so many times, covered so many games here. What was the most lasting memory that you're going to have from the stadium?
I'm going to go back to 2005. It involves some Central Texas kids. Baylor was not a very good team back then. They're taking on a ranked Texas A&M team. They send it to overtime. They get a touchdown. They decide to go for 2 in the win. Guy Morris makes the big decision. Sean Bell from China Spring hits Dominique Ziegler from Harker Heights for the game-winning 2-point conversion. That was a really big deal for a lot of Baylor fans because it had been close to 15 years since they beat A&M. So, and it wasn't a very good team that year, but it was a big, big moment for Baylor.
You know, so many big moments in college and also high school. You mentioned those high school standouts they had in that game. He had so many great playoff games here. Remember when Art Briles was also talking about being here in Stephenville, winning so many big playoff games here. He actually got his first playoff win ever at Stephenville here at Floyd Casey Stadium against Belton. So plenty of great memories. And of course, we're going to have many guests who are also going to reflect on Floyd Casey Stadium, including Athletic Director Ian McCaw and President Judge Starr along with John Morris. We're going to send you back to Memories Were Made here. We'll be back here from the case in a moment.